Hello, my name is Len Maherg. I'm your Medtronic sales rep, and this is the Autolog IQ Cell Saver, and we'll talk about that in some detail here in a minute. I want to first talk about the 3 disposable items that you need to do a cell saver case. First and foremost is a reservoir. It's just a blood collection reservoir. It's got a port here to hook your vacuum to. It's got ports here that you hook your blood suction line to collect the blood from the surgical site. And then there's a port on the bottom that the machine actually sucks the blood out of to process it. So that's the reservoir. That's the first thing you need. The other piece of the puzzle to get the blood from the patient to the machine is the suction tubing set. And in a minute, I'm going to open these up and we're going to go over kind of the anatomy of what all this stuff is. And last but not least, the most important piece of the whole thing is the wash kit or bowl kit. And this is what kind of it separates the whole blood and the irrigation and anything, bone fragments, lipid. This separates all that, concentrates it down into just red blood cells and washes it, and then it gives it back into a bag and anesthesia gives it to the patient. So that's the 3 disposables you need. You also are going to need 2 1,000 milliliter bags of just 0.9% sodium chloride, plain saline. Not for irrigation, but for injection, because you're dealing with red blood cells and you don't want to lyse any cells. And you're going to need 30,000 units of heparin. Okay, now let's talk about these disposable pieces in a little more detail, and then we'll turn on the machine. I'm going to open up the reservoir. And what you'll see is on the side of the reservoir, there's a little tag-along, a little taped piece of tubing, and it's tapered tubing, so it has a big end and a little end. And I'm not going to do this sterilely, but you guys, when you're setting it up, you will. So what you're going to do is you're going to clamp this clamp. You're going to take this cap off the bottom of the reservoir, and you're going to take the cap off the big end of this tubing. And you're going to make this connection. And again, you want to do everything sterilely, so you don't want to touch these things with your fingers. And then leave this cap on. And we're going to hang this reservoir right here. We'll save all this so you can reuse it for training. This is the suction line. And what will happen with this is the circulator will open this up, as they do with so many things in an operating room. They'll use sterile technique to peel this back. And some people go ahead and peel it all the way to the tubing, and some people hand it up like this. It'd be your preference on how you want to do that. It's double wrapped. So we're going to go ahead and take it all the way off. And now the circulator would hand the scrub. Take that, there you go. All right, and now, so what this tube is just a long, I think it's 10 or 12 feet. It's got 2 big ends. So the red end, I tell people just for simplicity, that stays where the blood is, okay? So the scrub is gonna take this end, put their yanker suction right here where the red cap was. And then the scrub is gonna we'll just act like that's the feel for now. The scrub will hand this end off to the circulator or whoever's doing the procedure. And now what you have is a blue end, which is going to go, it's kind of color coded, which is wonderful. Blue to blue. And then there's this piece of tubing, IV tubing, that's kind of glued to the side of this. And you see how you just kind of pull it apart? And now what this is just a basic IV spike with a roller clamp. So what you'll have to do a cell saver, you have to heparinize the blood, because blood sees a foreign surface, which is plastic, and it'll clot. So we're going to have a bag here of 1,000 milliliters sodium chloride with 30,000 of heparin. That's very important. And you're going to have that up here, and then down here you'll have a bag of just saline with nothing in it. So this is for heparinization or anticoagulation up here. Heparin high. That's the way I tell people to remember it. Don't ever put your heparin bag down low, because then you're going to be washing with heparin, adding more heparin back to it. And now you're giving a surgical patient who's bleeding heparin. Bad. All right, so heparin up here, 30,000 in a liter, and you'll use this spike to get the heparinized saline out of that bag, and you're going to turn on your vacuum, which we'll go over in a minute. and you're going to let 200 milliliters of the heparinized saline run. And now, since you've got vacuum on this reservoir, it's going to have negative pressure pulling from the field, okay? And the way this tubing works is the heparinized little IV line comes all the way to the tip, and that way, as soon as the blood is touching the tubing, it's being met with heparin. Does that make sense? All right, so this will be spiked into the heparin bag, and you're going to run 200 cc's in, and then you're going to turn this. You can do that with the clamp wide open, and then you turn it down to about 1 drip per second. Just like kind of KVO kind of thing. All right, that's the suction line. And now for the wash kit. What we're going to do here, the machine has this arm that back here there's a little orange button. If you push this orange button in, that goes all the way down to make a really small footprint. But if you're needing to move it around the OR, it's a lot easier to use this handle to push it around and steer it. Now, in the handle is built this little plastic piece here. The purpose of that is to hold this to allow you to set the machine up kind of in a sterile fashion and not having to use a linen hamper or something you can find to do this. So I'm going to turn the machine on. Here's the power button. It takes it about 30 or 45 seconds to come on. And this machine is very automated. It's going to tell us step by step what to do. "30 to 45 seconds seems like 10 minutes, doesn't it?" All right, so there's the main screen that you're going to live at. That's the home screen of the whole setup. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and set it up with the disposables, and then we'll kind of go over the software. So the message here, this white box is going to kind of be the way you communicate with the machine. Right now it says kit is not installed, and it's telling me to kind of install the kit and then lock the bowl cover. So let's kind of go over the display. So the first thing you see when you open the kit is the waste bag. So the waste bag has a yellow cap on the top, and it's got the blue cap on the bottom. I tell people to always tighten this just because during shipping it can get loose, and then you're going to end up with a bunch of bloody stuff all over your floor. And people are going to laugh at you. And look, just so you can see with your video what I'm doing here. See these two hooks, these metal pins? Is the light okay?
Yeah. Yep.
So you just put the bag hangs on those. And now we'll go ahead with our setup. And the next thing we're going to take out is the reinfusion bag. This is when you're completely done with the whole process, you've got the blood collected and concentrated and washed, and now you're going to give it back to anesthesia to give the patient. This is where it ends up. So I tell people with this, you have these two outer limbs. I go ahead and clamp both of those, leave the center one open. And again, this can come loose during shipping, so tighten that. And do not clamp this or this. This is the way the machine pumps the blood into the bag. All right. And we're going to get rid of that completely. Now, so this kind of gives us a hint here. Let's take a picture. I want people to see. You've got these two little marks here, kind of at the 8 o'clock and the 2 o'clock position. And it tells you've got the arrows that show you that you're going to go eventually to lock it, you're going to go to the 9 o'clock and the 3 o'clock position. Does that show up on your?
Yep.
All right. So what we're going to use to align to those is these two plastic wings, I call them. Can you kind of see? I'll pull this away. Those two kind of wings that hang off the side there. And this gives you another hint. This little picture here shows you that's where this little stub goes. And another hint is this yellow cap goes to this yellow cap.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna, and in here there's 4 metal pins. And there's also 4 little slots in the plastic that align up. So you just kind of put it down in there, and you want to line up the pins. And you also got the cheat sheet here showing you the wings and the little markers. You're going to push it down, and you got to hear that click. That's very important. So the machine now notices that I did that, and it now says insert the kit in the valve and the pump. Okay, so this is the valve, and all this does is it lets the machine know whether you're filling, washing, or emptying. And then this is the pump that turns really fast to pull the blood out of here or pump the blood into here. All right, so we're going to do what it tells us to do here. And this little piece here, it has a certain shape to it, and it coincides exactly with the shape of this. So you cannot, if you try to put this in backwards, it won't let you. It just doesn't fit. So we're going to line it up like so. And make sure the 3 tubes go in the 3 little slots. And we're going to shut the door, push it down, and this is the lock symbol and the arrow. So that lets you know that that is locked.
And that just flips over? Is that how you did that?
Well, you just, to open it, you do this.
Perfect.
And to shut it, you just do that, push it down, and lock it.
Perfect.
And now, this guy here is what allows you to put the tubing into the pump. Okay, so you're literally going to just pull it back. You've got this little kind of a neck here, and you're going to pull this tight so that it holds it in place, and then let that go back. All right, so now I did those 2 things, and it says press the green button to resume. And it's checking my work right now. All right, I must have passed. So now it's telling me connect the saline line and the reservoir. Okay. So out the back of the machine, there's 3 tubes now. The first one is obviously the reinfusion bag, which was pre-connected. The next one that has the spikes on it is going to be the wash line. And what you're going to do is clamp one of those, leave one open, and then on this lower hook, you're going to have a saline bag with nothing in it, no heparin. And you're going to spike that in there. And then this line, let me get rid of this, it's kind of making things jumbled up here for us. This is the reservoir line, and again, it's color-coded, blue to blue. Again, be sterile with this and don't touch it with your fingers. Okay, so now we did the things it told us to do. And let's go ahead and connect the waste bag, which is yellow to yellow. All right, and now we're going to do what it's telling us to do, which is connect the saline line and reservoir, press the green button to resume. And what it's going to try to do now is pull some saline in to prime the system. But since I don't want to ruin your little demo kit, we're not going to do that. But it's just telling me, hey, I got air in my saline line. It's because I don't have any saline. Mm-hmm. But if you did have saline, you would be ready to go.
So would you hook saline up to both of those?
You could, yeah, if you could. But this only uses 250 cc's per wash. So you could wash 4 bowls with 1 liter.
So in one of the videos that I watched from YouTube, it had 3-liter bags and not 1-liter bags.
No,
so
no.
we don't need 3-liter bags.
No.
Okay, perfect.
Unless you're going to lose like 40 units of blood. I'm sorry, I started
We don't
sweating
plan
on the
on that
loading
at all.
dock and I hadn't cooled off yet. So we're now done with the setup. So any questions about the disposables or the machine? What we haven't done is turn on the vacuum. Let's do that. So this vacuum button, I'm going to spin the machine around for you. What that does is it turns on the suction, and you're going to now need a little piece of tubing, like suction tubing, to go from here to here.
Okay.
And what that does is it makes this now a negative pressure situation so that you can collect the blood from the surgical field with your
Okay.
anchor.
Is there any suction tubing that comes in the kit, or we can just use whatever we have here?
You can use any kind of tubing.
Perfect.
It doesn't even have to be sterile, because
Could
nothing
be
ever
bubble
touches
tubing.
surface.
Be cheaper to use bubble tubing.
The what?
Bubble tubing.
Is that like that pink hard kind of tubing?
It's not hard, but it comes in a big roll, and we cut it.
Okay. Is it 1/4 inch diameter?
There's
Would it fit on this?
Yes.
I think so, yes.
Okay.
it kind of goes wide in spots,
Okay.
so we can
So you
adjust
can connect it to, from here to here. It doesn't have to be any longer really than that.
Yeah.
2 or 3 feet. Let's see here. So this is the main screen again. I'm gonna turn off the vacuum just to make it a little quieter. So cell salvage has 3 phases. So fill means that I'm pumping blood from the reservoir into the centrifuge. So that's the fill part of the cycle. And the machine is automated. It has sensors in here that are looking at the red cell mass as it comes up the wall. You don't have to do, there's not manual, you don't have to tell it when to switch from point A to point B to point C. So fill is when it's filling from the reservoir. When it's full, it automatically switches to wash, and it only washes with 250 cc's, and you can tell now, it knows, so far I've washed with 0 out of 250. So you can, at any point during the wash, you can tell how much you've done and how much you're gonna do. And then the last phase is when it's filled and concentrated and washed, it will automatically empty into the reinfusion bag, and it'll tell you how much it emptied. So that'll let if the surgeon or anesthesia says, how much did you give back? All you gotta do is look right here. And so these are the rows, fill, wash, empty, and you got 2 columns. The first one is the individual bowl that you're working on now. The second one is the cumulative total for the case. So here it's going to tell you how much you filled with, how much you washed with, and how much you emptied with per bowl. And you see the little 0 there? And it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many times you do this for that procedure. And then over here will be the total at the end of the case. How much did you fill completely for the whole procedure? How much did you wash with, and how much did you totally collect for the case? We turned on the vacuum a minute ago. I've got your vacuum right now set at negative 200. That's the default. So every time you turn it on, it'll wake up at that. If you need to change it, you just touch it, and you got a little minus and a plus. You can go up or down. And it also has a max vacuum. I wouldn't recommend that because it's negative 370. And the surgeon's gonna love it because they're gonna see clear as can be. There won't be any blood, but it's bad on the red blood cells. It causes hemolysis. So the lower the better. 200 is acceptable.
Okay.
That's how you would change that. I'll turn it back off. On the wash volume, there's the standard, which is 250. If you're in a rush and the patient's bleeding or they're hypotensive and anesthesia and the surgeon want blood quickly, you can go to the fast wash, which is only 100 cc's. Or if it's a true emergency, you can go to emergency, which is 0 wash. I mean, so it's a kind of a fine line between now you're giving a surgical patient that's bleeding blood that hadn't been washed, which has heparin in it. So I kind of would not recommend doing that, but it's an option if you need to. So this is the main screen. The data screen, I don't think you'll use it. You can go in and put information in here about the case. You can go in and put patient ID. You can put, actually enter in, I'm gonna push this little barcode thing. You can go in and enter in patient ID, just touch it, enter their name, medical record number. Most people don't do all this. You can enter the lot numbers.
Okay, so I have a question about this.
Yep.
So we are going to Epic. Does this interface with Epic?
No.
Well, darn.
But what we do have is in here, there's a little thumb drive. So you can put this is an Excel spreadsheet, and here, you're gonna have to really get under there. There's a little USB port.
Yep.
And you can go in, and if you do enter all this information, you can put this in here, and then you can export the data from the machine to here, and then you could put this on your computer and talk to Epic.
Nice.
Did that kind of answer the question?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
While we got this open, I might as well just show you. We have this is a IFU, instructions for use, which goes into way more detail than I am about all of this, but it's very all-inclusive. And then you have a little quick setup guide, which basically shows you exactly what I've shown you in a few minutes, kind of the same thing.
Okay.
And then This is kind of cool too. You have this little, what looks like a little credit card, but what it really is, it allows you to plug this into your computer and watch a little quick video setup. So you got that too.
Awesome.
We got all sorts of tools to kind of help make this as easy as possible. Oh, this door, notice when you shut it, it doesn't shut all the way. That's to make sure you don't slam your finger in it. You kind of have to push it that last. It doesn't mean it's broken, it's just a safety thing.
Okay.
Let's see here. So we talked about the main screen. We talked about the data screen, which I don't think you'll use, but you might. And then with the settings are where you go in and change the language, the time, the volume. You just use the plus or minus buttons. I don't have it so that it's password protected. You can choose to do that if you want to, so that no one can go into this and even do anything unless they know the password, but that seems like overkill. The date, the brightness of the screen, the alarm, you can choose 3 different tones. Right now we're on theme 1, which sounds like that. Theme 2, sounds like that. Theme 3, I can't really hear that theme 3, it's too low, but I like theme 1. But if you want to change it, that's how you do it. And I named it Blunt Memorial for you, and I've got the default vacuum at 200, the max vac at 370. All that's under settings. That's how you go back to main. That's really, if there's an alarm or any sort of a situation, this will be blinking red at you and it'll tell you what to do. If you ever need to stop it, if it's in the middle of something and you don't like what you see, here's the stop button. This is a cool little thing to keep your extra needles or syringes or little heparin bottle or caps. Some people keep their caps when they're setting it up. And if you ever got blood in it, that can be easily taken out and cleaned. Questions? I've rambled plenty. That's kind of the, we talked about, there's on the back here, you can either wrap the power cord here, or some people just kind of hang it here. Some people leave this up all the time. Some people think it just takes up too much space, so they'll keep it kind of down here out of the way. All this is kind of personal preference, but the footprint is pretty small if you keep that handlebar tucked away.
Awesome.
Anything not obvious? It's pretty simple. Questions while we're on video, or?
I'm sure I might have some from some of my peeps, and I'll get in touch with you if I do.
I told